Okay, so looking at the need for affordability, looking at our very ambitious capital improvement project list, I want us to think about what we can do in the wake of the loss of redevelopment. One of the things that I've been thinking about, gathering information about, is becoming a charter city. Currently, Emeryville is a general law city, and general law cities are governed by state law in matters of statewide as well as municipal affairs. There are 121 charter cities in California, but more importantly for me and for this conversation, many of our neighbors are charter cities, including Alameda, Albany, Berkeley, Oakland, San Francisco, and Piedmont. So why would we adopt a charter city? I promise you it's connected to our discussions about money. Charters are generally adopted by voters in cities to address issues, conditions, or needs that can't be met by state laws. Cities can adopt a charter to free themselves from requirements of some of the state's general laws pertaining to municipal affairs, such as limitations related to contracting. But with the recent elimination of redevelopment in the state, this has caused an increasing number of general law cities to consider becoming a charter city in order to take advantage of a charter city's ability to adopt a local property transfer tax subject to the Prop 218 requirements mandating voter approval. So even if we had voter approval to increase our property transfer tax, we can't do that as a general law city. We could only do that as a charter city. So in order to capture this tax, a tax that the vast majority of municipalities around us use, we need to become a charter city. And again, here's that slide. 6% is what we get from property taxes, and our card room tax, right underneath it, at 8%. Okay. So a city charter doesn't need to set out every municipal affair that the city would like to govern, so long as the charter contains a declaration that the city intends to avail itself the full power provided by California Constitution and any city ordinance that regulates a municipal affair. What all of this means, right? What would have to change if we became a charter city? Well, that's for the citizens to decide, but we could actually change very little. We could maintain our city manager council form of government, but we would have the ability to collect this resource and be on par with the region. Okay. So on this slide, right now we have a limit on the amount of documentary transfer tax that the city receives. And this is what is in this column, this really the third column, under Emeryville. Right? You can see how much documentary transfer tax we've collected from 2009 to 2014. So the average tax over 6 years there has yielded $157,000. To the right of this, you can see that whereas we get 55 cents for every 1,000 square feet, I think it is, right? Because the county actually takes half. It's $1.10 that is charged, but we just get half of that, so 55 cents. By comparison, these charter cities that are around us, Alameda can charge $12, Albany $11.50, Berkeley and Oakland $15, Hayward charges $4.50, Piedmont $13, San Leandro $6. But you can see there the difference that it makes with the documentary transfer tax. And as part of a private real estate transaction, it's something that gets negotiated between the parties, right? Who is going to pay that tax? But you can see, for instance, if we charged, let's say, the rate of Alameda, because it's lower than Berkeley and Oakland. We always want to remain competitive here in Emeryville, right? So if we charge $12, that the average tax, right, the average possible tax would be over $3 million, right? So you can see that where we're earning $100,000, these other municipalities are are getting millions of dollars from the documentary transfer tax. Right? So this is something that I want us to consider. I think that if we want to continue to maintain excellent services, if we want to continue to build, this is a structural necessity, and it is something that helps us to keep pace with the municipalities around us. Of course, one of the things that's been mentioned is that we can't predict, for instance, when large parcels will be sold or mergers will occur, but that's not the goal of a transfer tax, right? A transfer tax doesn't trigger sales, and I don't believe it would inhibit sales because so many of our neighbors have this exact same thing, right? So it acknowledges that the sale of real estate, the turnover in real estate in Emeryville, is not only about a discrete transaction between two parties. It's how the city keeps up, right, with renewal and change throughout the city. This is about affordability, about maintaining sidewalks, building more parks, providing services, and making sure that there is an evenness across our neighborhoods in Emeryville. So how would it happen? A charter could be adopted if a majority of voters approve of the charter in an election, right? Or the city council can draft or charge a charter commission to draft a city charter and place the proposed charter on the ballot on its own initiative. And the citizens group can also do this through an initiative. A city charter can only be amended by a majority of voters. Amendments can be proposed by the city council or by ballot initiative and can determine any municipal affair. So subsequent changes would require a vote by the citizens. So in looking at these issues of affordability, in looking at the loss of redevelopment, this is a solution, right? A way forward that I'd really like the council and the people of Emeryville to consider. I think it's time. With that, I want to turn from my